Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Traders Talk. And today the purpose of this episode is for us to discuss the developments in the trading education industry. So as we know, there's ample resources on trading everywhere that your eyes can see. Online, you see in YouTube, Instagram, you have a lot of gurus, you have a lot of influencers, you have a lot of trading educators selling courses as well. The fact that there's so many resources around and more people have taken up trading, but as we know, it did not really correlate to more successful traders. So today will be an episode where we try to discuss why is that so. First, my name's Juan. I'm the COO of TradeX Prop. With us today, we have Dixon, the
Everyone.
CEO of TradeX Prop, and Brian, market analyst at TradeX Prop.
What's good?
So, okay, guys, let's discuss. Why do you think this is so? Or what do you think about the education industry as a whole, trading related?
There's a lot of misinterpretation of how the market really is because social media, especially on social media, most of the time people will just like to share the glorified trades or the good side of their trading, right?
Yes.
I don't think people would like to share most of their darker side. So I think there's a lot of hope. I think the people that got into trading nowadays have this falsified hope of how trading could change their life. It's like once you step into trading, there's a certain achievement that you would like to get out of. Fast cars, maybe, the travel, the lifestyle and everything. But then of course, without showing all this lifestyle, let's say from the guru side, right? It's hard for them to actually get people into this industry.
Yes.
So we cannot say that it's wrong, right? But of course, when they come in, especially for the new beginners, when they step in, they are looking to get something, right? They want to get the same lifestyle that the gurus are showing. Generally, it takes a lot of years to go by,
Yes.
right? It takes a lot of realization, it takes a lot of experience up until you could reach that point. There's a lot of the times the gurus is making money from, solely on education. But there's no right or wrong, in my opinion, but it's just that the algorithm is just this way, especially, right? You're showing the lifestyle, you're showing the cars, then maybe the algorithm will push your content more. Because we did a lot of educational contents and none of it really picks off, to be honest. Right. So yeah, I think this is my take on this.
In my opinion, the reason why there's so much fluff in the space is because fluff essentially it comes from a bunch of influencers who are not real traders. They are very good at marketing themselves and their products, and they showcase lavish lifestyles, right? They showcase things that don't represent the true nature of trading. And unfortunately, trading as an industry on social media, at least, right, it follows the kind of like the trend of social media, right? Everything that's popular that gets clicks is entertaining, it's attractive, and trading isn't really attractive as a, yeah, it's boring, right? It's very boring.
Real trading,
So
yeah.
real trading is very boring. It's supposed to be boring. We're not outside every day in a different country trading off my phone. We are most times in the office building systems, building robots, and it's very boring to be fair. So that doesn't attract many views. It doesn't attract many people because it's not entertaining. So that's the reason why real education is always hidden in the algorithm, and whatever is entertaining gets the most clicks, gets the most views. And also in terms of the retail trading space, right? You don't have regulations. You don't have rules. Whoever has the most followers, the most likes, the most traffic is for some reason deemed as a successful person in trading when those things were never metrics for success, but somehow it's treated as a metric for success, right? So that's when a lot of people get led down the wrong path because they're following the wrong people. They shouldn't be looking at to these people. They should look at real prop traders, real proven traders. But most of the time, those people, they aren't really on social media anyway. So it's kind of hard to find those people, right? Yeah.
It appeals to the sense of people like shortcuts, right? They like shortcuts. They like freebies. They like things easy. They're always looking for the next new shiny red ball. is a new red shiny ball syndrome, where there's always a new way of doing something. There's always a new way of doing something. So when you have so many resources, so many influencers, so many gurus, your skills in doing due diligence have to improve a lot, because you don't know where to start, who to follow, and there's just so many resources out there that you don't even know how to start looking into who is a person that you should be following. For example, just now you talk about prop traders. There are real traders out there. There are real gurus out there. So how do they even start choosing who to listen to? So do you guys have any opinions on that? How can they even start to choose who should they start looking at? You guys have any input?
We'll need to look at the real source, right? Instead of looking at, all the luxurious lifestyle, right? Those are one thing that attracts you into trading.
Yes.
But then in terms of getting real knowledge, I think we'll need to look deeper in what sort of system that they are actually preaching. Is this guru consistently preaching you to manage your risk, or is just asking you to open up like big lots so that they get higher IB rebates? And so I think that's one of one way for us to look at it, right? They'll need to look at whether this guru is preaching like legit system with good risk management and stuff, right? Of course, with a life track record, that would be great. But then it doesn't mean that if a guru don't have a life track record, they're not good in trading. If they're preaching like good, real materials, giving real knowledge, real insights towards the traders, I think that's a big plus. But of course, don't just focus on the fluff, I think. Right? Because let's say if you're looking at it, okay, this guy is driving a good car, constantly posting on P&Ls. Is that really it? Are we just looking at P&Ls here? Right? So for me, I've checked on through all the social media accounts, and there's one common pattern that I kind of find, which is they are just, for the gurus out there, they will be just posting all the P&Ls with no explanation whatsoever, because for them it's like a guarded, they like gatekeep all of the sources inside, whereby you'll need to subscribe for, let's say, like free signals or telegrams or anything at all, right? So they will be just constantly posting the P&L. So I think they could watch out on that. Yeah, I think risk management, if a guru really preaches you good risk management and all those, I think it's a good start, right? If whether the guru is preaching, risk management system, how do you actually build your systems from the ground up? Or, if let's say, if the person that asked me that, okay, you should just copy whatever I do, that was like a red flag for me. A red flag for me, because why do I need to just copy what you do?
Why should I trust you?
Why should I just trust you, right? So even for me, if I come into the space, what I want to is to get out of a real system that I could actually generate out myself, that I could carry on. So I think that's important. So let's say if you found someone that's constantly preaching, just follow me, whatever I do, just trust me, believe, put faith in me, I think that's a big red flag for me.
Nice. Cover a lot of things that I want to say. So I will take a different route. Instead of looking at the person's trading, in a sense, you could also look at the person, himself or herself or themselves, because it's hard for you to separate the person from their trading. Say if they're out partying every weekend, how are they able to come to the charts on Monday and then be, awake and sober for it, right? So a person that is a good trader is typically also a well-rounded person, right? So I'm not saying that you can't party and have fun, right? But you have to, most times in a year, you have to be sober to be able to trade, because trading is a very hard endeavor. It takes a lot of decision making. So the person has to be somewhat grounded, right? You can't be out drinking every night and then come to, trading and be okay with it in most cases. Also take a look at the person. If he is very, very young, and I'm saying like 18, 19, 20, there is a high chance he has not garnered enough experience in trading. And this is coming from a person who I think is relatively young. I'm not that, of age yet, but not to say that experience comes with age, but there tends to be a statistically proven number or figure where a person who is older or more mature has a more stable ground in trading because they have been in the industry long enough. right? Of course, nowadays with e-trading, people can get started at the 18, 19. So that, might be somewhat of a subjective statement. But say, for example, has that person have any real industry experience, right? Is that person a finance graduate, or does that person have an education of a higher degree, for example? Because nowadays the trend is like, oh, drop out of college, do day trading. But typically, you shouldn't look at it that way. It should be, if possible, finish your education and then do trading on the side. Because education, you also train a lot of your skill sets that you need to do in trading as well. Of course, not to say that if you don't have an education, you can't succeed in trading, but typically, you also get a lot of skill sets through college or through uni, which is what a lot of these full rules they preach you not to do, like break out the rat race, vice versa. That's not the correct way to approach trading in general, right? So look at the person, not just his trading. Look at his, entire track record, not just in trading, but also outside of trading as a human being. Yeah, correct. As a human being. Yeah.
If I were to do my own due diligence and who I'd like to follow, it would be somebody like what you said, mention someone that shows a lifestyle that makes sense. If you're successful, how can you be partying every weekend? If you're a serious trader, you can't be contradicting your journey as a trader, right? I will be looking more for the type of content that they put out. It will be the boring stuff versus the exciting stuff. If you illustrate more of the things which show your time away from the execution in the market, not just the clicking of the mouse that gives you the P&L, the exciting bit, right, that people like to see, but talking more about things that happen outside of the market, which is in your preparation, in your risk management. Talk about strategizing, the planning, your strategies. So if you illustrate to me that you are actually spending more of your time outside that flashy bit, your lifestyle, your clicking, your P&Ls, for me, that would be my first requirement if I were to follow anybody at all. Because somebody that shows they have substance means they have substance. But somebody that shows they have all this flash and everything, yes, they may have substance, but they also may not, right? So I would go for the person that shows that they have substance. Now that we've discussed what we feel about the education industry as a whole, what are things that maybe you feel are common, things that may have been missed out, or maybe general weaknesses of available courses out there, that things that people don't talk about? What do you think is possibly missing? Any elements do you feel that's missing from the courses out there or from the gurus out there?
After you attended any courses out there, I think transformation is the key, right? You need to be able to use that knowledge into your own life, into your own system, and execute it under your own terms. For me, what's lacking out in the educational space, especially in trading right now, is that there's no individuality. Basically, if you follow this guru, then you need to treat him like a god or like teacher, per se. So
Cultish.
a bit cultish. What I would like to see is that after this trader or a beginner that's looking to step into the market, after they've gone through this course, they feel like they can find themselves. They get confident by themselves, not by just blindly following whatever the guru says. Let's look at it this way, right? So let's say if I'm a guru and I have 1,000 students, and all of these 1,000 students just listening to what I say. So it don't make sense for me. What makes sense is if I have 1,000 people coming in, 1,000 people that can develop their own strength, they can find their own strength, they can develop their own system, they find themselves. And then these 1,000 people, when they come together, I think it's a lot more useful because we can now share resources, we can exchange value. The thing that I find lacking the most, which is the individuality, right? So every time a guru offers something, a course or whatever, the trader or the person that signed up, they feel like they are lacking behind. It's like I'm always a few levels down, right? The guru is always high up. I don't think that's a right way to do it. Every human or every single person have their own specialty in a sense. They have their own strength. So let's say if you can go through a course, if you can find your own strength and you could develop something from there, I think that would be a huge point for me.
we are all in this journey together, right? And we are all still constantly learning. There's never an end to learning. Of course, it's not all educators are like that. There are some that bank on making their followers more like a cult-ish type of group. You know, there are some that bank on that.
Even like for us, right? There's no one trick that could use for all of us. We're all different.
Yes, yes.
So how can we say that, okay, use my strategy and this is going to be a Holy Grail strategy. If you follow me, then you'll get like, you know,
Yes.
consistency, for example. I don't think that makes sense. That don't make sense at all, right? Because beginner traders, especially traders, what they're looking for is always certainty. So when they have someone to look up to, the guru says that this is it. I've already done the work for you. You just follow me. For the beginner traders, what they have is certainty. So they want that certainty, right? And the gurus is giving them that. What we'll need to know is the market is forever dynamic, it's ever changing, and there's no certainty. We can never be certain, right? So I think once we can accept the uncertainty, then we'll slowly develop, you know, more individualistic thinking on how we should approach the market. Yeah.
Okay. That was sort of along the lines of what I wanted to say, that we have to know that everybody has their own individuality. Everybody has their own their background, where they're currently at. I feel that it would be better if things are designed around these things in mind. Everybody's in the process of continuous self-development, and it's best that when they can discover things on their own rather than, of course, being guided, being facilitated, that whole process, but not just directly, I give you this and you just follow without understanding. So a bit more of the focus on that would be, I think, good. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I feel left out. They were just talking about me. You know, there's not much for me to add on because they pretty much cover everything Dixie and Juan. But if I had to say one thing, it is definitely most traders, they come into looking for the Holy Grail, right?
Yes.
And I was also, I think all of us, we were pretty much in that stage as well, because we always think it's just a technical, it's only how you draw your lines, how you draw your boxes, which indicator you use. That is true to a certain extent. However, you will realize that in the long run, there's just so much more to it. There's just so much more than your technical edge, because in the end, it is up to your own trader's discretion, to your self-development as a trader in terms of mindset, risk management, because there will be times where your approach will not work. Maybe you trade a trend-following strategy and the markets are just not going anywhere. You get stopped out multiple times. Then that's when your risk management and then your mindset comes in to, you know, pick you up from your drawdown, because everyone can get winning trades. Right? Everyone can get winning trades. The issue was never about winning trades. It is about limiting the downside in between your winning trades. So all of that has to be taught as a whole framework, which is what most courses are lacking, right? Risk management isn't just 1% risk per trade, 2% risk per trade. It's not about that. It's a lot more than that. It's about you going onto your charts, doing your pre-session markups. It's you doing your back testing. You know, all of that is to mitigate risk, right? So it's the entire framework has to be taught for a trader to be successful, because when you are trading a manual discretionary strategy, your edge comes from yourself, not the technical edge in a sense, but you yourself in making the edge work, right? So that's what something that a lot of courses, they don't teach. They just teach you a set in stone strategy and that's it, right?
So yeah, so just now when Brian mentioned like risk management, or it's down to one single person, right? For a lot of traders out there, they would think that, okay, so if I get an automated strategy, expert advisor, then it's done. Correct. I've set down the risk limits and everything, the position sizing, how it's going to trade, how the EA is going to trade. But then at the end of the day, whether if the EA is going to continue run is still based upon the decision of the trader behind that desk. For example, let's say right now your EA is in drawdown. Are you going to cut your EA? Oftentimes, a lot of people, they think that, okay, maybe EA would be the key for me, you know, to really gain consistency, but then it's not. At the end of the day, you still need to work on your own psychology. You still need to work on your whole mindset, right? How you're going to go around this entire game.
Yep.
If not, I think even with EA, even if we give you the best EA that we have, for example, it won't work. Because at the end of the day, the decision that this particular trader is making is the ones that are gonna make them or break them.
Yeah, that's true. To add to that, a lot of educators feel that they just need to push this thing. Of course, we understand that it appeals to the sense of people wanting the shortcut, right? They want the Holy Grail. So I have a system for you. But then again, what we see a lot where educators fall short, in general, not all, is that it's not really a fully rounded system. There's no bridging of insights into real action. Yes, you can teach them the knowledge, but how do you move them to want to act on that knowledge and move from the first checkpoint to the next, regardless what obstacles come? Because that's what's really gonna make or break that system, isn't it? Yeah. The success comes from whether you can take on the hit and continue. So if you just following this system blindly and then you don't know what's going on, maybe you fail the first hurdle and then maybe you quit. We all know how that works out. That's why the psychological aspect, the mindset, is such a critical part of putting the insights into action, right? So how do traders now determine when a strategy is no longer working and maybe I should move on to another one?
Now, of course, this is a very subjective question in a sense,
Yes.
right? Because every person's strategies depends on the different metrics, things like trade frequency,
Yes.
things like holding periods, trade horizons. So all of those are very, very subjective and it all depends on the strategy. But of course, they are like a rough guidelines onto when you should ditch a strategy. But if you ask me, I would say if you are a day trader, right? Say one day you take a trade, 1 week you take a few trades. If your trade frequency is high enough, say maybe at least 10, 20 trades per month, and you're trading that approach for like live testing it for like 3 to 6 months. If your approach doesn't work for 2 quarters straight, you should probably, look at other things. That's what I tell people, right? Because if your frequency is high enough and that's 6 months of trades, right? And it's not like it's a very low frequency trading style, like swing trading. If 6 months goes by and then you've taken like maybe 10 trades and then the trades don't work out, it's fine because the sample size isn't large enough, right? But if you're trading a day trading strategy, a good metric would be, 3 to 6 months of profits or at least break even, right? Because sometimes the markets, they do go through periods of mean reversion and they're not trending all the time. So you should probably look at either another approach or look at another asset class. For example, Forex majors, they don't tend to trend that much compared to commodities like gold, silver, or crude oil. So if you find that your strategy isn't working too well on an asset that is more ranging, then you will need to maybe look at it from a perspective of, okay, is the strategy not working because the market's just not what I want it to be? Should I look at a different markets that's more trend following, for example? So that's a rough metric. Like 3 to 6 months is a good sweet spot because, okay, here's the thing. Strategy hopping is seen negatively, right, for a lot of people. But I'd argue that if you are a beginner, say you are your first year into trading or maybe even 2 years into trading, strategy hopping might not be that bad of a thing. Assuming you treat every approach and strategy with enough care, like you've backtested enough, you've actually gathered data, and then you've live tested it for like 3 to 6 months, and then they don't work. Strategy hopping allows you to find an approach that suits your own psychology, your own mindset, your own visual recognition, of patterns, right? Because people, they are different, right? So strategy hopping when you first start off is not too bad, in my opinion. But 4 to 6 years down the line, if you're still hopping, you need to fix it, bruh. You have to fix it.
But of
That's
course,
it.
like what you said, there's a big condition attached to that.
Yeah, it's a big condition, yeah.
Which is you treat each strategy with the right care and framework.
Yep.
Right? So you backtest, you
Yep.
try it over a period of time consistently, then you journal and see your results.
Hmm.
And then if it doesn't pan out, then maybe I could change.
Yeah.
But if you just hop, you don't even do your backtest, let's say you try a new strategy and the first few trades are profitable and you feel, yes, this is working for me, I'm going to continue. But that might not be the case. Or you have a streak of 5 losses straight away and you feel, oh, this is not for me. No, that's not the case either, right? You still need to treat it with enough care, which means you do your backtest.
Yep.
And then you have an understanding of whether this system has a statistical edge.
Yep.
I agree with that.
I totally agree with Brian. So I think I'll go with a different approach. So let's say right now you have a system, you got a system from a guru or whatever from YouTube, right? So you got a system, you tested it, and then when you're executing it, you find that you just cannot execute it. For example, let's say this person is trading on, let's say, a 15 minutes time frame. So when he or she, they're backtesting, it's easier because when you backtest, you actually controls the time. So it's very different. And when it's during live execution, it's different. The bars are moving. They're not going to wait for you. Second by second, minute by minute. It's not going to wait for you. So you find out that when you go on to execute and it's hard for you to execute, I think that one should be a good wake up call for you to just, look at it at a different perspective. Maybe you're not that fast. Maybe your psychology cannot just handle it, right? So it would be better for you to switch it up to a bigger time frame so you get more time to think, Like for me, I traded like 3 minutes before, 1 minute before, 15 minutes. It just all went to shit.
Yep.
Because I feel like I'm too aggressive. I keep looking at opportunities every day, disregard of the risk. So I think that's one good wake up call for me is just switch it up to a bigger time frame or switch up some strategy. I think that one would be an easier approach. We can look at number one, psychology, your execution, whether if you can execute a system, execute a strategy. And of course, we could implement something with data, right? So let's say, like what Brian said, 3 months, 2 quarters, right? 2 quarters, if the data is not good enough, then maybe you could switch. Or maybe you could implement something, you can just look at your back-tested data, and then you can compare it with your live-tested data. Has the range goes way off or still within that range? For example, you're losing streaks right now. You've back-tested it. The maximum losing streaks you have is about 6 trades or 7 trades. So when you're live testing it, it suddenly went off to 12, 13. So you'll need to go back and revisit and see whether if the condition has changed, right? Because I think there's no full rounded system. What you have is a couple of good systems that fits different market phases. So I think that's also one indication for you to, maybe hop the strategy. Yeah.
Let's now talk about X Academy. So Dixon, this was an idea that you came up with,
Yeah.
right? Something that the idea was something you conceptualized. So how did this come about?
We went to a course ourselves,
Yeah.
right? MMI. And what I see is the event has really transformed how we look at money in a sense. And I just love the way they structure the event. And what I was thinking is like, are there any ways we could, bring this sort of a lifelike event into trading? Because I truly feel that it's very transformational. Like what we discussed earlier, in the educational space right now, there's really just too much fluff. For X Academy, what I want it to be is straight to the point, be very transparent. We're not here to give you a Holy Grail strategy. We're here to guide you in understanding there's no Holy Grail strategy at all. So that you could actually understand that firsthand before you even step into the market and create systems for that. So the whole concept is to train this group of people to truly understand what the market really is and what the market aren't, so that they won't come in and have this false expectation on what they're going to get out of the market. They have a more realistic approach. They will start to look at themselves, start to believe in themselves more, and start building themselves instead of just listening to other people. I keep saying in RRB is just don't believe in a single word we say, because that's very important, right? You need to believe in yourself, not believing in us. So that's one of the value that I think X Academy or Red Race Breaker event, this is the true value that we want to push out of. For the people that join us, start believing in themselves, start believing that they have the capability to actually become a professional trader and taking the correct route to build a system that could actually get them there. So it's not like a Holy Grail system or Holy Grail event, but what I want is for it to be a transformational event for them to truly understand the market as a whole, to truly understand how they should approach trading and the right framework from the very beginning.
Right? Anything you'd like to add to that? What do you think about ARB since you're one of the main speakers?
When we were first thinking about the event, when we were drafting out the modules, right,
Yeah.
we were asking ourselves, as a trader, what did we want to see from a mentor or someone that could guide us along the way in trading from start to where we currently are in such a short span of time, right? 2 days, right? So that was how we drafted out our modules, and that's where all the content came from. As a speaker, I was really happy that we approached it very differently from other courses, right? Because courses, they typically approach it from just a strategy standpoint,
Yes.
right? But we approached it from a whole system and a whole framework in terms of like technicals, risk management, psychology, habits, and also reinforcing the reason why you even started trading in the first place. Because trading is tough. It is very, very tough. So we have to reinforce the idea of reminding the audience why they even started or want to start trading in the first place, because that then eases into the rest of our content. Because if you start something half-heartedly, it doesn't matter how many courses you buy, how many like strategies you have. It doesn't matter because your why isn't strong enough, which is why we approached it from the standpoint of strong frameworks for each category. From the feedback so far, I think we're all pretty happy with it. We've changed people's approach and how they take a look at trading. So I think it's great.
Because I'm a speaker in RB as well, handling the mindset and psychology module. What I feel is that after having done the first one, in a nutshell, it's a 2-day transformational journey where you rewire your brain to think and to adopt the systems of the top 5% of traders. It's from the combination of all of our experience, working as first, we are all retail traders ourselves. We also have our own prop firm, right? TradeX Prop, and we have access to many traders' data. We have the privilege of seeing how traders grow, how successful traders are, the commonalities between the profitable ones and the losing ones, the differences as well. That's something that we feel we want to push out, isn't it? That's how RB also came to be. That's why it's different from other courses out there. Is because it's not a Holy Grail strategy, but it's merely an approach. It's a rewiring of how you think about things. Just think the way the top 5% think, and you are already taking the first right step in becoming a profitable trader. Because there's no way around it. If you think like 95% of the traders who lose money, you will be part of the 95% that will lose money. There's just no way around it. At least to give yourself a fighting chance in this very difficult journey, at least you start thinking and seeing things and doing things like the top 5%. It does not mean that you undergo RB and you beat the top 5%, no, but at least you understand how they think, and it's at least the processes you can adopt it yourself, right? Yeah. Whether or not you make it, that will then be up to you, the actions that you take post RB. I think that's really, for me, RB in a nutshell. It's not really to replace your trading systems. It's more just a framework, how to approach things, how to look at the market differently, how to adopt the belief systems, the mental systems of the top 5%, and how to stay in the game longer. So it does not replace your trading system. You may have your own trading system that you're already confident in, but it does not mean that you're already thinking like the top 5%. So this is where we think the essence of RB is making you think and act like the top 5%.
The reason why we set up X Academy is we never really connected with our audience before.
Yes.
With TradeX Prop, basically, you're a prop firm. People come in, they want to buy challenges. You just need to make sure you pay out. With X Academy, feels a bit different. The connection that and the love and the energy that we got from the audience from the first batch, that's something. And of course, at first, what we're thinking of is let's just try it out, right? Let's just try it out. Let's just set up our very first event and we'll see how it goes from there. Correct? I think that's our
Yes.
common understanding
Yes.
in RRB, in Red Race Breaker. So yeah, but after the event, then something changes, right? After seeing some of the testimonials and connecting with the audience, it feels different. I'll be honest, for me, it feels very different because we've never really taken a step to connect to people. And we also didn't know whether if we have any value to give them at all. Correct? Because what we know is we've been constantly pushing out contents as well on social media. You've been doing a weekly market outlook. It's not the flashy kind of content. So I think the views is generally on the lower end. This is what we think that we could provide value. And from RRB is directly we could receive it back. So I feel very good about that.
yeah, it was something we started off just to see if we could do anything for our crowd, right? Because we weren't sure if people were interested in these kind of things at all in what we were talking about. But people liked it, so we liked it, right? Yeah, that really proved to us that the value we can give is a lot more than what we thought we could give. And
Yes.
that really
Yes.
made me feel very good about myself because people they appreciated it. And then it really helped them.
There's a paywall there because we don't want like anyone to come in, and
Yep.
people still come in.
Yep. There's a very big stigma in the trading space, especially things like, oh, if you're making so much money trading, then why are you offering like an education-based service? But they're missing the point. It's not so much about the money that you make from that specific course because we're not charging a lot, right?
No.
We're not charging a lot for RRB or X Academy, but more so it is.
Future.
Yeah, right. Like, who knows, right? But currently, we're not charging a lot for RRB, right? Because we want to let people have a fighting chance in retail trading space. Because most retailers lose money, so we wanted to improve the odds a bit as retailers ourselves. So yeah, that's something that we're really proud with. Even if we don't continue doing RRB, I can't say for sure, but in the time that we're doing it, we love it and we hope people love it as well. Yeah.
Let me read out some of our testimonials just for the benefit of the audience. We actually have our Discord for RRB. So, okay, this is from Mike Tang. Mike Tang. After completing the 2-day course, I learned a lot of valuable knowledge covered from how to trade from zero, how to build our own trading system, and the entire structure and process clearly taught. I believe even experienced traders can learn something new or refresh their knowledge from this course. One thing that really impressed me was the risk matrix, which totally changed how I looked at risk management, even though it's just simple math, but made me think about things in a completely different way. One quote I strongly agree with is, don't believe anything we say. And this reminds me that every trader needs to develop independent thinking, right? Exactly what you say.
Yeah.
To survive in the market. I also hope that Team X Academy will offer more deep dive courses in the future. For example, how a mature trader manages emotions and mindset to achieve consistent payouts and how to face hard situations during the big drawdown. Once again, I'd like to thank the whole team. Okay, so this is one good review. Let me go with another one. This one from Pun Pip Pip. Comparing to other courses I've attended, RRB is packed with well-structured modules. As an experienced trader, I found day one to be a little basic, but the real juice is the risk matrix, which many courses out there do not cover. RRB delivers in a realistic manner, no promises, no holy grail strategy. My respect to you guys for sharing such knowledge. Okay, cool. And this one is one of our more profitable traders, Hazik. Hi guys, I love every single bit of knowledge shared from the TradeX Prop team throughout the 2 days. Massive value. As someone who enjoys learning something new every day, it's always good to refresh and go back to basics as that's how it all began. It reminds me why I started trading in the first place, and day one really took me back to those days and just made me want to keep on going. Love the wisdom, knowledge, and skill sets that the various speakers have shown. Thank you, guys. So yeah, there are a few more testimonials, but again, these are the testimonials that actually made us decide to continue with the RRB. Because we did not know what to expect going to this. We just know that we're in a privileged position to have our experience, to be running a prop firm as well, to have access to trader data, and all these things. So something that we just decide to share, we feel that might be of value to other traders out there. We just decide put it out there and see what happens. And turns out we're getting something.
That's pretty amazing, right?
Yes. So that's why we have the next RRB coming up. Right? So I think, what's our website again? RRB for people who want to get more information.
X Academy, www.tradexprop.com/x-academy.
Okay. Look it up if you want to find more information. And yeah, reach out if you have any questions. I think that will be the end of the podcast for today.
All right.
Thank you guys for your time. And till the next one. See you.
Peace out.
Okay lah. Yeah.